Kepa is the hero for Chelsea. Inter keen on Moise. Lyon replaced Depay. More Messi fallout and a transfer roundup all coming up in the next few minutes. As I'm your host, Matt Froelich. You are the OneFootballers, and this is the Daily News. So first up, and Kepa is the penalty hero for Chelsea. That's not exactly what you would have thought you've heard after that whole debacle in the Carabao Cup final a few seasons ago. Remember when Kepa was the massive villain? He was fighting with Maurizio Sarri about coming off this, that and the other. Well, this time, it's worked in his favour. Edouard Mendy had a pretty good game for Chelsea in the 1-1 draw against Villarreal, and in the 119th minute, they decided to swap the goalkeeper for Kepa because they thought he'd be better in the penalty shootout. And actually, credit to Thomas Tuchel here, because everything he touches at the minute just turns to gold. I mean, apparently this has been in the offing since the beginning of the year, where they looked at all the penalty stats and decided that should a knockout game come when they're facing penalties, Kepa is the man for the job with the highest penalty percentage saves. So, the job did arise, Kepa did get subbed in, and he did make 2 saves as Chelsea won the UEFA Super Cup. The Champions League winners are of course playing the UEFA Cup winners Villarreal, who had their own penalty success against Manchester United in the final back in May, but it wasn't to be for Unai Emery's side, and Chelsea, who are looking to have a very strong start to the season, pick up the first bit of European silverware. In fact, all of us here at OneFootball think they're going to have a fantastic season, as you probably saw in our predictions video. If you haven't seen the predictions video, you can find it right here. It's going to get better for Chelsea as well, as they look to bring in finally the signing of Romelu Lukaku for around £97.5 million, a club record fee. And moving on from Romelu Lukaku, well, Inter Milan have to replace him, and they're going to do it through Moise Kean. Now, in the last few days, there's been loads of talk that Inter were interested in Anthony Martial, but Manchester United wanted around 50 million for the French forward. So instead, they're looking at Kean, who not only has previous in Serie A after bursting onto the scene with Juventus, but last season actually had a pretty good season with PSG and has proven that he can do it at all levels. On top of this, he's going to cost a dance like less than Anthony Martial. Apparently, Everton are willing to accept 30 million for the forward, who just didn't have the best of times at Goodison Park. He had one season which he really failed to adjust to the Premier League, and then, like I mentioned, he was loaned out to PSG, where he had a good season, but after the permanent signing of Mauro Icardi, who looks like he won't even get into the team because of the signing of Lionel Messi, it's clear that Kean would be way down the pecking order, so much so that PSG have decided not to turn his loan deal into a permanent one. Oh, as for the latest on Lautaro Martinez as well, it looks like there's not really much movement in his deal to Tottenham, so maybe Kean could be the perfect foil for Martinez up front, and Inter could still have a pretty deadly attacking duo. Next up though, and actually talking of replacements, we move to Lyon, who are looking to replace Memphis Depay. They knew he was going to be leaving. He said it before the season ended. He was leaving on a free transfer at the end of his contract. He's joined Barcelona, and well, they need to replace him, and they're doing so through Liverpool's Xherdan Shaqiri. It's been clear for quite some time now that Shaqiri was always going to be a backup to the front three at Liverpool, and he's played that role pretty well, and when being called upon, has actually put in some pretty good performances. But of course, age 29, he needs to be playing football in his career, and if you give Shaqiri consistent games like we see with Switzerland, every Euro or World Cup tournament, he could be brilliant. He has insane quality, and he's the perfect attacker to replace Depay. He's got all the skill, all the speed, and all the know-how across the front three positions to really add something to this Lyon attack, especially a big hole that Memphis Depay has left. Of course, he's a few years older, but that means nothing because they're getting him for an absolute bargain. I mean, in today's market, a player of Shaqiri's quality and experience would probably cost quite a lot. But he's got 1 year left on his Liverpool deal, and they only signed him for 13.5 million. And it sounds as though they'll be willing to let him go for around 8 million. Apparently, at the moment, Liverpool have received an offer of 5 million, and they're looking close towards the 8 million mark, which means they'll probably agree on 6, 7, something like that in the near future. It's a good move for Shaqiri, Liverpool get a bit of money, and it's a very good move for Lyon as well. And talking of Memphis Depay, he has of course joined Barcelona, where there's loads more fallout because of the Lionel Messi move to PSG. We've spoken about it every day this week because it's Lionel Messi joining PSG, but that has happened. He's officially a PSG player, and it looks like he'll be making his debut this weekend. But back at former club Barcelona, things still rumble on, and there's quite a bit of news to come out of the club. So, first off, and apparently they still owe Lionel Messi a loyalty bonus around 39 million euros. Doesn't exactly help. Second off, they've managed to finally register their first signing of the summer, which is Emerson Royal. Although, since he's technically returning, I think, on loan from Betis, despite the fact that they actually paid a bit of money for him, I'm not quite sure this necessarily counts or takes a big amount of the budget. Anyway, the signing of Memphis Depay, like I mentioned, Kun Aguero and Eric Garcia have still not been registered, which doesn't exactly bode well for the start of the season. And lastly but not least, Samuel Umtiti is apparently going to be leaving the club, and this one, it leaves a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. Apparently, when he came on against Juventus in the Johan Gamper Trophy, he was booed and whistled by the fans, so much so that he didn't stay on the pitch and celebrate with his teammates once they'd won the trophy after a 3-0 victory. Apparently, this is because he would not take a pay cut and is one of the reasons that Lionel Messi would leave the club eventually, because Barca didn't have enough money and they could have had that money had Umtiti taken a pay deduction. I don't believe any of this, to be honest. There's no way that one defender taking less money is suddenly going to solve all problems. Barca's problems when it comes to getting underneath the salary cap and being able to afford Lionel Messi stretch way further than just one defender taking a little bit less money. So I'm not having any of that. And honestly, you shouldn't be booing your own players. Wherever Samuel Umtiti goes, I hope he regains all the confidence and has a pretty good career, because you know that on his day, he's a pretty talented defender. Next up then, we come to the transfer window wrap, brought to you by our friends at cryptocurrency trading platform Bybit. And first off, Denzel Dumfries is edging ever closer to a PSV exit, with Inter Milan said to be interested to replace Achraf Hakimi. Elsewhere, and it could be a good day for Manchester United fans, it looks as though Rafa Varane is finally going to complete his transfer from Real Madrid. Southampton have accepted a £15 million bid from Leicester for 29-year-old centre-back Yannick Vestergaard. And lastly but not least, Takefusa Kubo has left Real Madrid on loan yet again, this time heading to Mallorca. So that's all from me for today. Make sure you let me know your thoughts down below. Check out everything else we've got going on. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.